It seems impossible to love people who hurt and disappoint us, yet there are no other kind of people. That's a quote from Frank Andrews. I start my book, Friendtimacy, with that quote. It's one of those painful truths. We often want to go through life and just say, I don't need any friend who hurts me or disappoints me. And yet it happens all the time. I mean, think about every person you love, every romantic relationship, family relationship, and friendship. The people that you love are also the people that have hurt us, and we have hurt them. One of my most popular video series here on YouTube is actually Surviving a Friendship Breakup. And all the stories that all of you are writing in the comments are, just enough to break all of our hearts. But I was so impressed with how many of you, your question in response to that video series was, what if I'm the person who hurt my friend? That series was focused more on what happens when we end up feeling like our friends are not as invested in the relationship and we're going through some kind of a breakup. And so many of us were asking, though, but what can we do? What can we do to try to repair this? And so I'm going to do another video series that answers some of the questions that you have asked in the comments on that series. And the first one is going to be, how can we make an attempt to repair a friendship when we have been the one to hurt or disappoint our friend? It happens. And so I want to give you four, they all start with the letter A, 4 steps or 4 things that I think we should each pay attention to that might help us as we decide the best way. I mean, all of our circumstances are so different, our personalities are so different, so it's hard to give general things for everybody, but these are categories that I think each of us can kind of look at and say, so what would that look like in my context with who I am and what kind of friendship I've shared with this person? And so the beginning step, if we've hurt somebody, is apologize. And that's a whole nother video series, right? That's a hard one. But it basically means showing up with humility and being willing to choose a non-defensive approach and actually be willing to just say, here's what I can own. Here's where I could have done better. Here's what I did that I regret doing. Here's me looking back even. Maybe I had good intentions, but looking back, I am so sorry that I didn't see XYZ. I'm so sorry that I wasn't paying attention to XYZ. I am so sorry that when I was insecure, I did this. And I'm so sorry that we did it. We weren't trying. None of us woke up that morning saying, I just really want to hurt my friend today. But we did. So how can we own that and apologize for it? For some of us, hopefully that opportunity comes in person. Hopefully it comes quickly. In ideal circumstances, we do it the second we realize that there's something out of balance there. But whatever the case may be, if it has to be via email, if it needs to be after we've cooled off, whether we've thought about it for a few days, the number one thing is to repairing a relationship is apologizing. And with that apology, I also accompany it with an affirmation of what I'm hoping for, an affirmation of our relationship, an affirmation of who you are as a person. So I am so sorry, and I want to try to repair this relationship. I believe in us, and you have meant so much to me, and I so admire you, and I want to try to make this work. And so it's affirming our goal. Our goal isn't to just be understood. I think some of us show up and we just so badly want to explain ourselves. But really, the goal has to be for the relationship and for that other person. The goal is not, as much as it hurts, the goal can't be for us just to write 2 pages of how we were feeling and what we need understood. If we hurt them, if we need to repair this relationship, the focus has to be on the relationship. So it's apologize for what we brought to that moment, and it's affirm that we want this to help be a bridge building. So the relationship matters more. We're basically affirming that the relationship, repairing it, means more than my ego. So affirming what we want to have happen. I hope we can make this work. I hope that we can get back to being deeper and closer friends who can trust each other even more. I hope that. And what is that affirmation of what you hope to be on the other side of it that makes going through this worth it? You're casting the vision and explaining what motivates you. So apologize, affirm the relationship, ask questions. Go into question-asking curiosity more than defending. There's a spiritual teaching that talks about how so often we think that defensiveness is so righteous, we just feel it's our right and it's the right thing to defend ourselves. But the spiritual teaching says that defending is another form of attack. Let that settle on you for a minute. Think about how many times it takes the person being defensive to actually create the argument. One person doing something with a mature person who's in a healthy space and isn't triggered or taking things personally, it can just kind of maybe fall off the back, be a healthy moment of honesty and awareness, and there can be no fight. The fight happens when the second person gets offended and starts defending, right? So hard. I'm a very defensive person by nature. I want to be understood and I want my intentions to be known. And so the third step of asking questions is actually a really important spiritual practice. To show up with curiosity and to ask, what could I have done in that moment differently? What would you have liked instead? How did it make you feel? So being able to ask questions, going forward, how could we handle situations like that differently? So you're basically trying to repair and ask them what would feel good to them. And maybe it's amends you need to make. Maybe the question is, what can I do to rebuild your trust? What will it take for me to show you that you matter to me? How can I make this up to you? And so whatever it is, we need to be asking them for their perspective, not showing up, sharing our perspective. If we want to repair the relationship, it's not that that's unimportant. It's that we can't show up with that as our agenda. It has to be the relationship first. And hopefully, the more curious we are, the more loving we are, the more we're able to show up and care about them. Hopefully that creates a space where that can be reciprocated as well. But if we show up defending, it's almost impossible to get there. So go into asking mode, caring about the other person for a few moments more than you care about your own ego in this. And so apologize and affirm the relationship, ask questions. And then the fourth thing I would say is start adding in positive things. So once you kind of have had this conversation, you've done what you can do, you've done the repair work that you can, the most important thing is to start adding in good feelings back into this relationship, because we kind of left it on a sour note. We hurt them. We ended up doing something that caused a tough moment, awkward stuff, pain, loss, grief, all that stuff. Now what we want to do is remind ourselves the fun that we have. And so maybe the next invitation is to be able to say, hey, what are you doing this weekend? You want to go out for brunch? Or what are the activities you enjoy doing? What are the things that this friendship has been held together by? So quickly step back into the glue. Quickly try to start initiating and make sure you're showing up with positivity. Make sure you're showing up, showing that you're willing to do the things that you said you were going to do, or not do the things you weren't going to do. What you want to do now is basically kind of change the balance of the relationship. It kind of got heavy. It got painful. It got kind of like made both of you maybe wonder, like, is this worth it? And so you kind of try to resolve that. And then the question that you're answering is, yes, it's worth it. And so you're reminding both of yourselves why it's worth it. You're putting the focus on making sure that you're having fun, that you're enjoying each other, that you feel accepted, that you're communicating your liking and acceptance of the other person, that you are committed to the benefits of being friends. And so be super aware to not stay there and to hold a grudge, or to keep talking about it too long, or to just kind of get in the weeds on that. It's important to resolve and think about, but you really want to get back as quickly as possible to like repairing it and enjoying it and reminding yourselves what you love about each other. And so we want to kind of balance out that negativity with at least 5 positive things, which can be a whole variety of things. But basically, you're recognizing that this relationship is a little fragile, and what we want to do is just bring a lot of loving care to it, a lot of intention, a lot of showing up to make the invitation, to make that person feel cared for, to remind them that we love them, to give that gift, to give that compliment easily. Whatever we can do to kind of show up adding joy and value to that relationship is so important. Obviously, there's no fail-proof formula, but these are the kind of principles that I try to take into consideration when I've hurt somebody. And these are the things that I think kind of collectively start adding more value to the relationship and give it a higher likelihood of repairing and working for both of you. So the fact that you're watching this is such a beautiful thing. It means you have a really beautiful heart, and you know the value of relationships, and you know that every relationship has to go through disappointments and hurting each other. So don't be scared of that. Don't say this relationship may not be worth it because of that. Just acknowledge that that's part of relationship, and this time you're the one who hurt her or hurt him, and next time it might be the other way around. And so model the behavior in this moment that you would hope other people would give back to you when the roles are reversed. Be the person that shows up and offers the love and initiates the value of saying this relationship matters. So many blessings on you. Not easy to do, but this is the important stuff.